Hey everybody, it's Mr. Marshall here at Stony Lane. Did you know about the US presidents? Did you know that when you're finished being president, you have to do something with your life? So what do? So most presidents are president for 4 years, or if they get elected another time, 8 years. And there have been exceptions to this, but that's for another video. But then what do they do? Like, you know how like a lot of times people try to get a better job and a better job and a better job? Well, after you've been US president, what else do you do? And so some presidents have gone on and done really important things, right? Like presidents that have helped, people in need, or presidents that go around the world trying to help make peace. But there were three presidents in the United States history that went on and either got elected to something else or were appointed to a job within the government. And I'm going to tell you about those three today, okay? So the first one is this guy, John Quincy Adams. John Quincy Adams was the sixth president of the United States, and he served from 1825 to 1829. There's another video that we have about John Quincy Adams and his dad because they were both presidents. Anyway, so John Quincy Adams lost the election in 1828 when he tried to run for re-election, when he tried to be a president for a second time. He lost against Andrew Jackson, who he beat the first time. And so Andrew Jackson and John Quincy Adams didn't like each other. And so that was a really, really tough election. And Andrew Jackson won in 1828. So then after that, John Quincy Adams decided that he was going to still serve the government and serve the country. He ran for what's called the U.S. House of Representatives. So the U.S. House of Representatives is a group of people who help to make laws. They're part of what's called the legislative branch. And the way they decide like how many people get to go to the US House of Representatives is they look at how many people live in an area. And so he's one of the representatives from this state here, which is where he lived, which is Massachusetts. Of course, when John Quincy Adams lived, this is not how the country looked. There were a lot fewer states, right? So, but anyway, he was a representative in the U.S. House of Representatives, and he went and he helped make laws, and he represented the people of Massachusetts. Okay. A second president that also got elected for a new job after he was president was this man. This is Andrew Johnson. Andrew Johnson was the 17th president of the United States, and he served from 1865 to 1869. So Andrew Johnson was the vice president first. He was the vice president under Abraham Lincoln, and Abraham Lincoln died in office. And so he became the president. And Abraham Lincoln was a really popular president. He did a lot of important things. He did a lot of good things. He helped the country not fall apart during the Civil War. But then he died. And so Andrew Johnson had to take over and do a lot of the work that Lincoln started. And he had a hard time. And so something happened to Andrew Johnson, which hasn't happened a lot of times in the United States. They did something called impeachment. Impeachment, when they impeach a U.S. president, it means that they think that he broke some laws. And so what happens is they go to the Senate and the House of Representatives, and they have a trial. Like they listen to what this person did, and they decide whether or not this person should stay as president or should they be kicked out. Okay. And what happened to Andrew Johnson was he was impeached, and they had a trial, and all the senators had to vote to see if they would keep him or get rid of him. And it was very close, and they decided to keep him by one vote. If one more person had voted to get rid of him, he would have been kicked out of office. Okay. And so he kind of like just made it. But after he was president, he decided he was going to do some more stuff. And so he actually ran for the U.S. Senate. Okay. The U.S. Senate is like the House of Representatives in that it helps to make laws for the United States. And but it's a little bit different because every state gets two people to go to the U.S. Senate. Okay, every state gets two senators. All right, and so right now there are 50 states, so that means there are 100 senators exactly. Okay, And he was one of the senators, and he was from the state of Tennessee. Okay, and so he went and he joined the U.S. Senate. And that's pretty what we call ironic. It's pretty funny because the Senate is the group that almost got him fired from being president, and now he went off and he became one of the senators. He was only a senator for a couple of months because he got sick and he died. And he died. He was only in the Senate from March until July, and then he died. He was 66 years old. So there's one more president that had a job in the U.S. government after being president, and it was this man. This is William Howard Taft. William Howard Taft was the 27th president of the United States. He served from 1909 to 1913. And there's lots of things about William Howard Taft. He was from the state of Ohio, and he never really liked being president. And like everyone kind of talked him into running, and then he won the election. But he didn't really like the job. What he really liked to do was he was a lawyer, and then he was a judge. And his dream job was to be a member of the U.S. Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is what's called the judicial branch, and the judicial branch helps to see if the laws are fair, helps to see if the laws are in keeping with the U.S. Constitution. Okay, and so he wanted to be on the U.S. Supreme Court, and many years after he stopped being president, he got the chance. And like this is what the Supreme Court justices look like today. There are 9 of them. William Howard Taft is not here. This is the people that are the justices now, but there's always a bunch of justices, and like they're judges. And here's a picture of William Howard Taft when he was what's called the Chief Justice. So he was like the boss of all the other justices. He was the leader of the justices. And that was when he was happy, and he's even smiling in this picture. He didn't like being president, but he liked being a Supreme Court justice. That was his dream job. And he did it all the way until he died in 1930. Okay? So did you know? Did you know that U.S. presidents can do really important things even after they stop being president? Okay? And these were 3 presidents that did that. All right? Thanks. I'll see you next time.